now, I believe 5 p.m., 5:01 p.m., excuse me. Meeting has been posted in a manner required by law. We do have a quorum. The one exception is Trustee Crutcher, who is not feeling well this evening, so we send our best. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please remain standing for the invocation led by Trustee Karen Wheeler Hall.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today asking for your wisdom, guidance, and support as we begin this meeting. We lift up our board and our school leadership as we face complex decisions regarding our budget and staff compensation. Grant us the clarity to balance fiscal responsibility with the need to fairly support our dedicated teachers, staff, and administrators. Help everyone in this room to engage in meaningful, respectful discussion and remove any self-interest or division, and unite our minds with one common purpose, doing what is best for the entire school district, our educators, and our students. May your peace be present as we navigate these challenges, and may our actions reflect integrity, fairness, and care for all. Amen.
Please be seated. All right, guys, I'll turn to item 3, public comments. The board will not hear those who wish to make comments and have completed and returned the public comment participation request. This section will be conducted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act and board policy. Complaints and concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. Mr. Vice President, do we have anyone wishing to speak this evening?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll move to item 4, budget workshop. The board administration will discuss the compensation plan and district budget. Dr. Jackson.
So good evening, board trustees, Mr. President. The purpose of tonight's board workshop, as we know, is to engage in the meaningful discussion regarding the district's budget, financial outlook, and compensation plan as we prepare for the upcoming school year. The district's budget is a living and breathing document, and it is the compass that points us towards our true north. The budget is a reflection of the priorities and values of the Board of Trustees and the district administration as it relates to teaching and learning, professional development, and district operations such as maintenance and custodial, transportation, and our commitment to supporting and valuing our staff. As we hold this public discussion tonight, we are fully aware of the many challenges currently facing public education. Slightly declining student enrollment across the country and the state, uncertain state funding, and the increased cost of fuel, electricity, and goods and services. And despite these realities, this board has remained committed to being thoughtful stewards of district resources, while also seeking ways to invest in our employees and support the important work that they do each and every day on behalf of our students. It is our hope that by this conclusion tonight of this workshop, the district administration will leave with a clear direction from the Board of Trustees regarding your priorities and considerations to bring forward for adoption of the fiscal year 2027 budget at the June 23rd regular board meeting. While the challenges before us are significant and great, we remain hopeful and optimistic that through our collaboration, thoughtful planning, and shared commitment to our students and staff, we will continue to accomplish great things working together for the LaPorte community. We are always grateful to the Board of Trustees for your thoughtful deliberation, your earnest concern for all things public schools, and for your dedicated service to the LaPorte community. Now, at this time, I will yield the floor to our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Stacy McDowell, and she'll take you through a presentation sheet.
Good afternoon, President Martin, Board of Trustees. Thank you so much for being here to discuss the fiscal year 2027 budget and then also some compensation. So our topics that we'll be going through is giving you an update of fiscal year 2026, general fund estimated ending balance. It's changed a little bit since our May 12th board meeting. Also, we'll discuss building our fiscal year 2027 estimated budget. Present that to you what the estimated budget is at this time, go through some compensation options, and of course, any questions you ever have, we're happy to help. So our fiscal year 2026 estimated budget is in front of you. It's in the millions. As you can see, we have our amended budget and then our actual estimated. So if you remember from our May 12th board meeting, we were thinking we were going to be a negative 4.5. Now it's about a negative 6. And the only difference is we received the TERS payment last week. And we had a discussion about that at our May 12th board meeting about how the TERS is beneficial to our district, and then because it puts the funds over into a tax increment redistribution zone. And so, but the payment for this year was about $1 million, $1.2 million more than it was last year. Because remember, we had 9 cents less in our M&O, on our M&O tax rate last year. So those 9 cents means we received more general fund maintenance and operations funding, tax revenue, which means our TERS payment goes up. It also means that we'll also get our portion of the TERS payment coming back to the district that we put over into a fund to use in a special way. It will also increase, but so that is where you're seeing, we're estimating our ending balance to be 1 million, our fund balance to end at 51 million versus the 52, 53, what I presented before. So the 51 million is 133 days of operating expenses.
Stacy?
Yes.
So I'll forget. Can we, city management indicated they would gladly send somebody, I believe he's a consultant, he can come give us a deep dive. I know Dean knows a lot about this, but I know nothing about TERS. But on what it is, the monies that are available, how it's distributed, if possible, can we do that before maybe the start of the school year?
I would love to do that.
Just let us
Uh,
know.
yes.
Corby said, if you'll call Corby, he said he's ready to go, just let him know.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
We'll have it on one of your regular board agendas.
Yes, we will have, yeah, I'll get with you after this meeting and you can give me the name and we'll contact them tomorrow. Set that up. Any questions over this? So building our fiscal year 2027 budget, there's different aspects to it that we all take into consideration. So our estimated property values, our estimated enrollment, the campus budget needs, our department budget needs, our M&O tax rate, and then the compensation, which we're going to discuss tonight. So as we move forward here, the estimated taxable property value is, for this year, we just received that in April, and it's going to be 15.4 billion, and that's an estimate. And what I didn't give you is a table that I used to help me understand, because we received 4 different valuations throughout the year. Each one does something different. As you can see, they all changed drastically by millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. When you're dealing with billions of dollars, hundreds of millions, it still matters. So in April, what we received was the preliminary taxable values, and that is the 15.4 billion. Last year was 15.1. And in July, then we get an estimated taxable value, and that is what TEA uses to create our MCR, our maximum compressed rate. So that actually went up to 15.4. Then in August of last year, we received the certified appraisal tax value, and that is then what is given and helps. It's part of the truth in taxation, and it is what the tax rate that our tax rate that you adopt is built on that valuation. And then in February, they do a settle up and say, okay, here's really what the taxable value was, after everyone has done any kind of exemptions or any kind of contested their valuation. And then that's what we get for the settle up. And then TEA takes that amount and works it into their summary of finance calculations. And if we are owed any more money, or they say we owe more money, which is what they did this past year, and we paid that extra $1 million in recapture. So that's, I just wanted to provide that to you so you can see that it's always a moving target. And so what we budgeted against 15.1, it actually was 14.9. And that kind of explains why we didn't get, our tax revenue is about $1 million off what we estimated it. So you have 133 million, we really got 130. going back to this, on the bottom of the screen here, you see our estimated enrollment for fiscal year 27. So as of the last day of school, our enrollment was at 6,928 students. And what I did was I've kept a list throughout the entire year. Every day we get a report saying, here's how many are enrolled in all your grades at each campus. So I've just kept a running log so I can see daily what is our difference in enrollment. So if you can see here, it goes by grade. And last year at the end of school, we had 7,069 students enrolled. As of the last day here, we had 6,928, so it's a difference of 141,000 students. You can see too, that equates to about $1.8 million. Our largest loss was in third grade of 63 students, and our largest gain was in early education with 34 students. So I love data, so I love providing data for you. Any questions on this?
We took in less tax money. Does that mean that that's not apples to apples, but like the recapture went down as well?
It will also go down.
How much did the recapture go down?
For our recapture is 43.
No, I mean, I'm sorry, compared to budget. Like, so we budgeted.
We actually budgeted 41 because we thought it was going to be, again, I'm just going to keep saying estimate, but it's, when we created the budget last year for you to adopt last June, we didn't know what the ramifications of House Bill 2 was going to be. And so, yes, and so we received more state funding, but we didn't know that. We didn't know how much that was going to be. So the recapture amount that we thought we were going to get was different than what.
So we, if I heard right, we budgeted 41 and it's going to be 33?
43.
43.
Yes, sir. So yes, why attendance matters. So this is a screenshot of what I presented to you on May 12th, and so it should look pretty familiar. And as you can see, you know, it does our actual enrollment versus our ADA. So you know, we're at 94%. And why that matters so much is because funding it's based off our average daily attendance. It's not based on enrollment. So 1% of an increase in attendance equates to $900,000 for our district, in additional funding that we get to keep in our district. So, again, data point.
So board, just quickly, I wanted to share, as you can see, in the last few years, we inched back up to the 94. We want to get to 95, 96%, but we really want to be at 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm saying to you, one of the priorities that I will present to you for our priorities this coming year, it will be a strong focus on attendance. But I don't want people to think we want student attendance because we get paid. Student attendance is good for students because they learn when they're here. And I don't want people thinking we're saying in school to be in school or come to school every day, remember to bring your kids to school because we get funding for it. It's because it's important for kids to be in school because they're learning. So just think about that 94% versus learning gaps that we might be still dealing with. I mean, that's a significant piece of it. We're much better than we've been, but we still want that to become a priority for us. So we want to make sure we roll out something to really do that with our staff.
Stacey, is there still a time factor, you know, that after 10:30, that's when official attendance?
It's not 10:30, I think it's 10:30 and 10:35. I'm not really sure what the ADA time is. It's different at elementary versus secondary. So yes,
Because
that's,
parents were on board with that for a while. I mean, even my parents say, we got to do your dentist appointment at 1 o'clock because we don't want to take you out before 10:30,
Right.
so the school the money. But I mean, parents were on board. At least they kind of
They
knew and they
understood.
had something to go
Yeah.
with.
And we have a lot of parents that comply and try to help us with that.
That's what I mean. So, but some of them may not know.
Yeah.
I mean, not to see the system, but
But
there's
we'll
some
do a
sort of
better job of that.
communication. I'm not communication.
No,
wizard,
we'll
so-
do a better job of kind of making sure people understand. But there's also a huge reconciliation process by which the attendance clerks kind of work with notes and things that are brought in and excuses of why kids are gone. And we get a lot of that back, but we just want to make that a priority for us. If enrollment is declining, we know one piece we can probably control a little bit better than the enrollment, and that's student attendance. right? Because they're here. These are the kids that are enrolled in the school district.
So two pieces, Stacy. One, at that rate right there, if we were paid on enrollment, that's another $5.5 million. Is that fair?
We have 100%? Yes.
So we're paid on enrollment?
No, if we were paid
No,
on
if we were paid,
enrollment?
I'm sorry, yeah, if we were paid on, funded on enrollment and not attendance,
Yeah, yes.
$5.5 million instead of that. And
We
then
would
second,
significantly benefit if it
Oh,
was enrollment
yeah.
versus average daily. attendance.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
yes.
And that has been something
anybody
that
listening at
districts
home
have been
is trying to
asking.
help them,
Yes.
educate them. And then second, can we pay 94% of our electric bill, since we only get funded for 94% of the, no?
No, sir, we can't.
I just asked them.
I would, if possible, like to, I know in the years prior, we had a family engagement, which was gonna try to help with some of this stuff. And I know each campus does something a little bit different. We provided gift cards to certain campuses. Can you just give us an update when we go through it, when you're on the rollout of what are we doing, from a district-wide perspective to increase attendance? I'm just curious to see like what we have in place and what our future plans would be.
Mr. Wycliffe, I'll refer to him because he had a huge turnout at DeWalt. It was a district program. And I already told him next year we got to bring it to the Bulldog Center because there was too many people there for that. But at some point, we'll have Mr. Wycliffe to share that. All right.
So moving forward, this is our estimated tax rate for 2027. As you can see, it's going to be decreased by almost 12 cents. The reason it's not exactly 12 cents is, number one, our MCR changes every year, our maximum compressed rate, which is what the M&O part is built on. So in our template that we have to use this to estimate out what our funding is going to be next year, that MCR amount was a little bit different. And then also we are increasing our M&O by 1 penny, as we had discussed. Doug Witt was here to get us back to the 28 cents. 3 year, or in 24-25, we decreased it by 3 cents, and then so for the next following consecutive years, we're going to add 1 penny back to get back to the 28, so that we can continue to pay our bond payments and our bond premiums and insurance in a timely manner. So that is a decrease of almost 12 cents for this year. And again, our M&O is built on the maximum compressed rate that we do not get from TEA until August. So that is why we're not going to ask you to adopt a tax rate in June. We're only asking you to adopt a budget.
So this is the worst case it could be?
Well, as for the estimate, the template that we use, those calculations are correct, and it's all behind the scenes calculations. So if that amount is correct, we won't know what that MCR rate is until August. And then I can tell you if it's more or less.
Traditionally, do they, like, how close do they get to the?
It's pretty close.
Always?
It's pretty close, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Now we're going to walk into what our fiscal year 2027 budget is. Again, this is in millions, so this budget here is built on the tax rate that you saw on the previous slide, and it's also before any kind of compensation changes. So, of whatever the board chooses to do tonight. So you can see our local revenue is greatly decreased because of the 12 pennies. So our total revenues will be 122 million. Our payroll, I kept the same budget we have right now because I can't, that's the best case scenario that I know right now. Anything that the board chooses, it will be added to that. Then our contracted services, supplies, so on and so forth. To our total expenses, our recapture would be right at 37 million. Because again, less M&O tax rate, less recapture. And our total expenses would be 135. So that's a difference of $12.4 million. That's a deficit of 12.4. Now, I wanted to give you here, when you see contract services over there of 8.4 million, what is that? And that is all your utilities, your, so on and so forth. So I wanted to give you what those big numbers are. Because when you look at miscellaneous services, you're thinking, what is that? Well, it's our insurance, it's our TERS payment, it's all of those types of things.
On contractor services, well, that's on top of my mind. I didn't catch it at the last board meeting, but caught it recently. We lost an SRO in one of our contracts from the last contract we had. Why is that?
Yeah, so just looking at the contract for next year, looking at felt like we could utilize our roving officer to be housed at one of our campuses versus having them out roving. And so that was,
We didn't take anyone from our
Isn't the
campus.
roaming officer Sergeant Markey?
Right.
So he's gonna be
high school. And so
Full-time, not going around campus.
If he's needed, we will still use him in that way. We have a system by which somebody will come and cover. Shouldn't be go somewhere. But really, he's just a sergeant. Just a sergeant. I don't mean it like that. But I mean, we were trying to cut costs in some place. That was a big cost. So by doing that, we were able to keep the officers on the campus and still make sure we cover everybody, but not have that person roving hard.
Okay, you
With
mentioned
respect to Sergeant Martin.
if he needs to roam, you said there is a process to have someone cover him. What
yeah,
is
so
that
I mean,
process?
that's the benefit of having executive officers on campus that we can cover there or we can pull from other places we need to. So he would still be able to go about and do those.
At that point, you would have just one officer.
And we have,
Because there's two, if you count Officer Larkin now. So if he had to go roam, now we have one.
If he has to, and I'm not making an excuse for that, Mason, I'm saying, the other places don't have to. They only have one.
That's big, yeah. Okay.
Stacey,
If the board would like, I could show you the cost savings in that MOU that we were just trying to make sure that we are being, to the best of our ability, provide safety and security, but still, and when we can, take care of, making sure we keep what we do.
How much do we spend on, isn't it, it's $1.5 million?
On all security, our city of LaPorte is roughly close to almost 700,000. And our SROs that we pay $50 an hour to be at our elementaries, at our elementaries. That is about 400.
are you guys talking about the ones that are at the elementary schools? I thought that's a separate deal.
They
That
are.
contract is the $50 an hour.
But the one, I guess the savings is about $65,000 a year we cut off
Oh, no, it's a whole lot more.
for one person?
Yes, because you have to pay all of their benefits, all of their insurance,
That's the
all
MOU
of
we were
the,
trying to go through.
it's-
So we were just trying to get the cost
The
down.
cost difference in the MOU in 2023 to 2026.
from
When I added
2023,
it up, it was like 50,000.
there's,
I can sit down.
and we
with
can
you.
send this, yes.
I can sit down with you. It was a little more significant. And we were asked to pick up some other things.
Correct.
And
Yeah, it's so,
we need those things. We're not begrudging that. We were just trying to figure out what can we do to keep everything going, but also keep those people in place as well.
so kind of to speak a little bit more on that, the cost of that additional police officer was taken out, and then other things were added. So it might have been a net 50, but the cost of that police officer is not. Are there any questions on this?
Where would is it under local revenue, like any kind of interest income?
Yes. That would be, yes. In local revenue. So I wanted to, again, give you another data point here of speaking of our fund balance, because here, if this is the budget that is adopted, we would end with a fund balance of 38.1 million. Okay? That's a 12.4 million decrease. So if we look at our historical fund balance, so in 21, 22, fiscal years 21, 22, and 23, we had ESSER funds and we had disaster rates, and we increased 1 million, 4 million, 5 million. And you go to 2024, there was no disaster rate, no ESSER funds. We lost 4 million. 25, we had the 3-cent disaster rate, lost 5 million. This year we have the 12, potentially losing 6. So I want to kind of show you that when we have added to our fund balance, it's because we've gotten additional funds from the state. It has nothing to do with our taxes. We're still in a deficit budget. Even with the taxes. We're desperate for help from the state. You are very familiar with this slide, but I like to always give it to you so that you can always, go back and review. But this is our historical raises that the board has approved since 2019, 2020. Just kind of move forward. So when we met at our compensation workshop, these were a couple of the options that were presented to you. So I wanted to give those to you again, and then also put it in light of what it would mean to a teacher. So out of our 1,021 employees, 465 of those are teachers. So a 1% raise would cost $575,000, and every time you add another percent, you go up to 1.2 to 1.7. And what that means for a teacher is an average increase of $733 versus $1,460 versus $2,200. That is if a raise stays in the budget, and is with that employee in perpetuity until they retire. The cost of a stipend is also below, and it does not stay with an employee. It does not stay in for the future budgets. For it to be TRS eligible, it would need to be paid for work that is done. So our employees would not get that payment until January and June for work that had been done in the previous semester. So the cost of that would be $1 million, 1.5, or $2 million. And after the workshop, we had a couple of different conversations, and I was asked to calculate this, so I thought I would share it also. So these are additional stipend options that were brought up. So what if an hourly employees received a $1,000 stipend? Well, there's 530 of those, so that would cost $530,000. And then what if the salaried employees received a 2% stipend? Again, these are stipends. These would not stay with the employee. They would still be paid in January and June so that they are TRS eligible. So the cost of that would be $1.5 million. And the other option that I was asked to calculate was if hourly received a $1,000 stipend and the salary received a $2,000 stipend, that would be $1.8 million versus the 1.5 above. And I wanted you to also be provided with what does that mean to the fund balance. So if we take the fund balance that the calculation that I presented to you in a couple of slides before, where we have the total revenues of 122, almost 123 million. Our payroll, you can see it continues to increase up depending on 1% raise, a 2%, to give you what your total expenses would be. And then you could also see what that impact would be to the estimated fund balance at the bottom there. It would move from 38 to 37 to 36. So coming up, we have discussed potentially having a Vader workshop on either June 15th or June 16th. June 23rd is when our next June board meeting is, and that's when we will have the public hearing to discuss the budget and tax rate for fiscal 2027. The board will be asked to adopt the fiscal year 2027 budget. If the board chooses not to adopt it, we cannot spend money starting July 1st. July 1st is our first day of fiscal year. July 25th is when we think we will, around about when we should receive our certified property values. And August 5th is when we will receive our CR amounts, and we'll know what our tax rate could actually be built on. And then January 2027 is the start of the 90th legislative session. I am happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I'm putting you on the spot here, and I apologize, so if you don't have an answer, I totally understand. But if you go back to like the fund balance impact, do you have an idea of like going back to 21, like what the adopted budget impact was?
I'm sorry. could you
Like the adopted, like the fund balance decrease in the general budget, like what it was, what we had originally adopted. This is what it ended up, like the $1 million positive,
You
21.
emailed us that before.
Are you asking for this year, for fiscal
No,
year?
no, like
26?
just historically, like, so, again, y'all heard me say it a million times. I know that we're conservative and I appreciate that. But I'm just curious, like, if we're gonna adopt a $12 million plus budget deficit this year, my hope is that it's gonna be closer to, I don't know, say 8 or 9, which still sucks. But historically, I'm just wondering if you guys have that numbers, like,
I do, and I can email that to you.
thank you.
I can send it to you once I sit down here. Have it.
Questions, board discussion?
I know we had talked about, are we gonna go to the compensation plan after this, or we want to talk about it now?
It's your pleasure. Have that conversation.
Jeff?
What was the question?
Yeah, you want
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. She asked about the compensation, so we can talk about the compensation plan and kind of review that one more time. All right.
Yeah, whatever you
We
guys.
had some conversations a few weeks, well, last time we
Do we
met,
need,
about paras and some things of that nature. And so, just let us know your questions, and so that Paula and Stacy and I can do our best to kind of answer questions based on what would you like to see in that compensation plan? Because the last time we talked, we were working
I
up
had
some.
Stacy work up some numbers, and I don't know if we emailed that to the entire board, or just Walter and Jeff and I.
I believe it was just the three.
Okay,
And it was if adding the 50 cents to every year.
yeah, because even though we had talked about moving that one grade of para into their own grades, my concern is in 5 years, we haven't increased para pay at all. I know that the average person who comes in as a para for us isn't starting at that bare minimum, but that would affect if they're at the midpoint as well, right? And here's the,
We get that email. I don't know, or just email it to us, we have our iPad.
So you're concerned, after they stay a while, they still will not be compensated at the
Yeah.
level that, what we're trying to do now won't have been effective.
well, it's not effective to all the other para grades.
Because right now, we were creating a new pay grade for.
Right, I think that was our proposal.
I know the general sentiment, and I'm just speaking for myself. I really, the cost of living increase is we've got to entertain it regardless what that deficit looks like. Our staff is not immune from inflation and all the costs either. The budget deficit is not their problem. I hate to say that. It really is ours. And we have a responsibility to step up and defend them and find another way to fund it. I don't have any solutions right now, but I'm just saying that I can't, in good conscience, say, too bad, so sad, because we've got a major deficit budget. I mean, a deficit. So, I'm committed to do whatever it needs, but our staff, they work tirelessly. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but we've got to find a way to fund a cost of living increase, because, again, they're not immune from the ails that everybody else is either. I mean, every employer is trying to do something, and yeah, it hurts everybody. But the bottom line is, we can't just, because it's hard, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. I know we're putting a lot of pressure on you, Doc, but we've got to find a way to fund something to take care of our staff. And I know you have the same sentiment, but I just, I hate having these conversations, but we've got to find a way somehow. And I don't know what that solution is yet, but.
Well, there's certainly, in the plans, there's going to be a plan for us to kind of call the board back together at your wishes and your pleasure to have a conversation about what are we planning to do in November. That will help greatly, should that be successful, all right? It will help greatly. It won't answer all of our concerns. It won't solve all of our issues, but it will certainly keep us from having to wait on there to be a storm of some sort. on whether or not we can take advantage of pennies. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And so we're gonna have that conversation, and my team and I are working and preparing to really bring forth, just a clear picture of what that might look like. I get it, it's, you've got inflation and all of the costs that are increasing, and then all of a sudden there are other things that we're trying to look at. So I understand how people, might look at those things, but at some point, you're sending, this school district, you are sending back $40 million a year to Austin, Texas, and we're trying to figure out how we're gonna take care of our own staff, right? And that's local tax dollars that are going out, and I don't wanna beat that horse anymore, it's been beaten enough, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean, we shouldn't have to be, if the truth were told. I mean, there's a policy, there's a law in the books that has us here, but we should not have to be here as a property wealthy school district. We should not have to be here. I know personally of school districts that are not property wealthy that do not have the issues that we're having right now, because they're benefiting from the money that this board and this school district is sending back to Austin, and it's redistributed, right? And so we're gonna have that conversation about the possibility of a Vader and the possibility of what that might look like. It will not be the answer to all of our ills.
No.
But it certainly will get us closer to the line than we are right now.
Well, and it will affect our budget
Yes.
forever.
Forever.
moving
You'll
forward.
never have to wonder if there's gonna be something that we can use for disaster rate again. I mean, and thank heavens for the disaster rate provision.
When we
But,
needed it.
but when Stacy showed you that diagram of the 1 million and the 4 million and the 5 million and then a slump, all of it went away really quickly. So praise be for that actual, disaster rate time, because we put that money in the fund balance, but we quickly had to use it, because when there isn't anything like that and you don't have access to those pennies like that, we have to do something different. So I'm willing to do what this board wishes for us to do. I believe we will act upon your wishes tonight as to where we go and how we go, and I think we can survive this coming school year. It just gets more challenging next year, but we just live to fight another day. All right, and leadership is going to call for us to have to make some difficult decisions in the future, but I believe what this board wants to do, whatever it is that you want to do for employees and salary and compensation, that can happen this year, because we will take it from, we have worked really hard to keep that funding there, right? And I think you've done a really good job of just saying, save it. Well, you need it now in such a time as this. And so you could take some of that and take care of staff if you should feel like that's, it's risky, but at the end of the day, we'll come back and figure out what we're going to do next. But I agree, we're not immune, your staff is not immune, the people that are driving in from all over the Harris County area are not immune from the gas prices and all of the things that are going on. Those buses, you got to fill them up, and it costs more right now to do all of those kinds of things. And all of that goes into play. And that's why I thought Stacy did a really good job of laying out some of the miscellaneous things that are happening. Insurance to be on this Gulf Coast, is enough. I mean, I know a whole lot of smaller school districts, what we pay in insurance is their whole budget, right? What we pay in insurance, and so it is just what it is. So we want to hear the board's wishes. I know that there was really talk about paraprofessionals, and we want to revisit that should you talk about that, and I'll give the floor.
I have one more comment about the fund balance growth. We were very smart years ago when the state allowed us to have Chapter 313 agreement, which brought,
Additional funding.
yes. Now, those are playing out.
We still
The
have some of
state
that,
has
but they're
changed the
sunsetting
law,
those things. That's
and we
right.
can't do it anymore.
Yeah, they're
So
sunsetting and
anytime-
drying up.
I feel like anytime a district finds a way to get ahead, the state says, nope, no more of that. So here we are, we had some 313, we had disaster rates, we had TEA settle up, different things that make us increase the fund balance, but you take away, you've got declining 313s, and then without the disaster rate, that's what you get.
What you get. And I hate to keep beating this horse. It's gone. It's gone. But at the end of the day, as enrollment shifts, that causes us to spend and leave, more money leaves this district. I know I sound like a broken record, but all I say in every meeting, and my team will tell you, every time I get in front of my team, all I talk about is attendance and enrollment. Because if you don't have the enrollment, you cannot hold on to any of that. And so those are ways that we can hold on to some of those funds in our school district. This district has never been a 10,000 student district, and neither do we want to be a district with 10,000. But we do want to try to get back to our 10, 15 years ago when you were 75, 7,700 kids. That was a time you were 7,800, almost 8,000 kids. And so there's been storm after storm after storm, and economic crash after economic crash that has caused some of that to decline. But we're doing everything in our power to help with that. But we want to hear your wishes tonight as it relates to compensation. Yes, sir.
I don't speak for Trustee Crutcher, but I did have an in-depth conversation with her on Friday, a couple times before that even.
Sure.
Her stance was, and again, I'll preface this with, I don't know we had the numbers in front of her yet, so again, I don't speak for her, but she was pretty adamant that she was in favor of a raise, right? And specifically, she wanted 3%. And so I'll start with that. I know that's a big number. I asked you guys kind of like historically, I know these 21 is when I got on board, all right? And so I know at least from back in 21, every one of those years we adopted a negative budget. I went back and looked at it right now. If I'm reading this correctly, the impact on the fund balance in 23, when we had a $5 million surplus, the impact that we adopted for that year was 6.8, almost $6.9 million deficit. $7 million, we ended up with a $5 million surplus, right? I know that was like, that's not typical. But again, God does amazing things. We start with that's a huge swing in the positive. I also don't believe, hopefully, that we adopt a 3% pay increase that's going to end up being $14 million. I understand we're going to take a loss, but hopefully you guys work your magic, God works his magic, and it's more of a manageable loss, right? I have every expectation that would be the case. So I am with Trustee Crutcher. I would like to see a 3% increase. I don't believe in stipend. When we, at least again, just on the historical data, going back, I guess on this chart, 2019, we've never given I don't know what happened before that. We've never given a stipend only. It's always been a percentage raise. In several years, if you look at this, we've given a percentage raise and an additional stipend for years of service, or I guess for like attendance metrics, things like that. So we've never done that, and I believe it's probably because it sets, I don't know, it's just a double whammy to me. Like you're not getting a raise, and the next year you're kind of, maybe hopefully you get it, but you're not building upon that $1,000 or whatever that stipend is. And so I'm never going to be on board, me personally, with a stipend. So I can maybe negotiate the rate, but I am heavily in favor of a actual pay increase. Salary increase. I would like to see the 3% if at all possible.
I have a quick question. So as we see the attendance going down, and some of, 141 is a lot, are we not filling positions? So we have fewer teachers, or how is that?
We absolutely are always constant, and even prior to kids not being here, we always, there's always demographic shifts.
Right.
And I've been in this district long enough to watch, sometimes it's on one side of town and sometimes it shifts to the other side. And so the teachers just go from campus to campus. But if there's a decrease, absolutely. If we don't feel like we have enough teachers to warrant 6 kindergarten classrooms, we're just not going to have 6.
Because this isn't a shift.
Yeah.
This is they're gone.
Yeah, but they're probably not all going from the same grade. That's the.
That's part of it.
No, that's where it's hard. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
part of the issue.
Dr. Jackson, we had a request, if at all possible, can we go to maybe a 30-minute bridge closed session? Discuss a couple specifically related. All right, guys, board, it is 5:44. Administrators and attendants, I apologize. We'll take a 30-minute closed session. 5:44.
Candace?
Yes. Right.
For the rock.
Are we almost done? I'm supposed to leave at 9:30.
All right, guys, it is 6:46. We now re-adjourn to general session. I don't know what the word number on it is. All right, guys, so I guess we're still on item 4, budget workshop. Would anybody like to make
Just a proposal.
a
Yeah.
proposal?
It's okay. Ms. McDowell, we're looking at, board would like to see a budget built on 2% raise salary. So that's what we're looking at 2%. And, you know, on behalf of the board and all of our districts, we can't possibly pay you enough. And, we are trying to be as fiscally responsible as possible to see that we continue to exist. We wish there was more money to give. At this time, this is the amount we feel like satisfies both of those. So please continue to have faith in us and understand that we want to continue to grow and find those funds, but at this time, 2% is what we feel is within our scope. And so if you'll build that up for us, we'd appreciate it.
Karen,
Can do that.
Speak to the,
Yes, and then for the paraprofessional pay increases, we would like to see a new pay grade for our special program paras, I think pay grade 5. And we would like to increase that minimum from $14.31 to $15.75. And then for all other paras, a 50-cent pay increase.
like on the scale, like you and I talked about, where you work with that number,
Right.
204,000, whatever.
Right.
We'll be happy to calculate that out and let you see what that is, and move forward with that. And with the understanding is the practice of LaPorte for the district is if whatever is higher, the 2% or the amount, we don't do both. You get the higher
Right.
of what it is.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
But we still want those wage scales moving.
Yes, ma'am. That will absolutely happen. Yes.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Thank y'all so much.
All right, before we move past the budget works, I just want to say this, that this board, if you guys don't know this, we all, across the board, want what's best for these teachers and the district as a whole. We have a deep love for all things Porte ISD. Many of us have spent our whole lives here. And 2% doesn't adequately accommodate it, but again, we're adopting like the largest budget deficit since I've been here, right? And so that does go without being said. And so, but we do believe, first and foremost, that God will take care of us always. And secondly, that our finance team, Dr. Jackson, your leadership, that you guys will be able to whittle that down as much as possible. So we appreciate the work, and we're sorry for putting more work on you, but we appreciate that you allow us to believe in our teachers. So thank you for that. I'll move to item 5, action and discussion items. A, approve purchase of painting services at James H. Baker 6th grade campus.
You didn't want to hear about your pain.
No, we're good.
I think that was just a motion. That was, so, this one is for Baker. So we've got some significant painting work to be done at Baker. So this is a project that we feel like will just enhance that space. We've got a relationship with the company that we're proposing for you guys to consider. They do great work for us. They do a lot of additional work too while they're in the building. They've done some things for us in other campuses at Lomax Junior High. They've painted stairwells, done a little extra work. So we're asking you guys to consider the proposal for Baker.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the painting services for the Baker 6th grade campus.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Everybody wants a second.
Show of hands. Yay, unanimous. Thank you. Item B, approve purchase of painting services at LaPorte High School B building.
So very similar. We're doing a lot of work at the high school, as we've noticed at that campus. rebuilding needs a little bit of attention. We're doing some carpet, we're doing some furniture, and so we just felt like the paint. We're actually doing some LED lighting upgrades on that. So that whole space, just an opportunity to just bring that whole space up to the rest of the campus. So we're asking you guys to consider that one as well.
Okay, make a motion to approve purchase painting services for Porter High School B building.
Second.
A motion and second, please vote. Again, unanimous approval. Thank you, board. Item C, consider and possibly approval of Porte ISD Distinguished Alumni Policy Revision and Update. You guys have questions? You want? Okay. If you have no questions, can I get a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, board, please vote. Again, unanimous approval. Thank you, board. And last but not least, consider and possibly adopt a resolution number 2026-05 for compliance with Senate Bill 546. And I'll say this before you start your presentation. I'm just going to throw it out there. If you don't have questions, we can move to a motion. If you guys want to listen to the presentation, we can certainly do that. Are you guys okay with voting now, or do you want to listen to the presentation?
I would make a motion that we approve the resolution.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. So all those in favor? All right. I'll be clear on this one too, just because we did this, we still have the authority, is what I've asked you exhaustively, to go in and take a look at it, to expedite that process. I think myself made a couple of those, I'm going to help maintain that, keep us accountable to it, but.
Because we don't want anybody to misunderstand that we just voted against seatbelts on buses.
Right, yeah.
That is not what we did.
That's correct.
Correct.
I'll say also, we provided some of the questions that you guys had, they're included in your packet.
Right.
In the presentation, so you can certainly look at that if y'all have additional questions.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I know the wording is helpful if someone should approach us, so we appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, guys, if there are no other questions, comments,